Coronavirus pandemic, here's the thing, it's cast a huge shadow over what will happen with the upcoming season. Now, there's also a lot of optimism from some. Tigers head coach Ed Orgeron, confident his team's going to play and will be ready to go. Listen to this.
Ready to play. There's no uncertainty here, I tell you that. We're focusing on having a great season, the task in hand. We understand that there's some stuff going on out there where what time the season is going to start, who we're going to play, when we're going to play. That doesn't matter to us. We focus in on working hard in the weight room, getting in great shape, leadership, promoting a great culture here. I'm fired up about what's going on at LSU.
Let's bring in Heather Dinich, Paul Finebaum to talk more about this. All right, so Heather, Coach O, obviously, he's fired up. He's talking about, I'm ready to play, we're going to play, we're going to play. How much of an impact do you think this has on whether or not we're actually going to play?
Well, to be clear, the decision makers in the sport right now start with the coronavirus and then go to the SEC's medical advisory panel. But one source in the SEC told me last night that they expect to make a decision at the end of next week. I'm talking about July 31st, as to whether or not the season can start on time. And if it can't, they might push it back to September 19th or maybe October 3rd. Now, if you get into October for a start of the season, I think that's when you might see the SEC say, okay, we're going to go to a conference-only schedule to fit this in. But equally as important is they could also say conference +1 so that they could preserve those SEC-ACC rivalry games plus games like Arkansas, Notre Dame, and also LSU, Texas. But to be clear, as much as Coach O wants to play, it's really not quite in his hands at this point.
Yeah, all he can do is sound that optimistic note, especially for his team. I'm sure that's how he's got to at least take it in the locker room. So, Paul, with that optimism and hearing what Heather just said, is there a reason for optimism at this point?
I just wrote in Coach O for president, by the way, Ryan. I love his optimism, but yeah, I didn't. By the way, I didn't believe him when he said he could beat Alabama this year, so I'm not going against him. But you know, he is the embodiment of what you want in a head football coach. Back to the real question, optimism is not going to get the football season started on time. And Heather is correct. The numbers are. And right now, we all know what's going on. So I don't know what will change from today to the end of next week for the SEC or anyone else. It's unlikely that the spikes are going to stop. We can hope. We can pray. But I think they're facing, unfortunately, they're facing a delay of the college football season.
Yeah, and you have no sense, Heather, it's hard to get a sense of when things will start, what everyone will be doing. But this week is a critical run, right, in the grand scheme of college football's return.
It is. In terms of the college football calendar, on Friday is when that 2-week enhanced summer access period begins. This is a new part of the college football summer calendar because of the coronavirus. And what this does is allows finally football players to have a football in their hands outside doing walkthroughs. So this is something that the commissioners wanted to wait to see. What does that experience look like? Big 12 Commissioner Bob Bowlesby took it a step further and told me that he would like to get to a point where they're wearing helmets and pads to evaluate what that type of experience is looking like before making a decision. And this 2-week period that starts on Friday is a precursor to that, to what Bowlesby's talking about, which is your typical summer preseason camp experience.
Okay, so that could be a big turning point there. So, Paul, I want to give you the final word on this. And I know we talk about this every time we talk on air. At this point, what do you think the chances that the season is postponed? Or actually, let me change that, delayed.
I think they're very high that the season will be delayed. But I tell you something, Ryan, that I heard at the top of your broadcast here today that I think could have a significant impact on college football. And that's what the NFL players are saying. What does that have to do with college football? Where every college football player looks up to these gentlemen. And I think if you start hearing more players in the NFL, especially the bigger names, say, we don't feel comfortable, you may see a trickle down to the college player. college players are a lot more vocal than they used to be, and we have really not heard from them yet. So keep your eye on that story as this week unfolds.
I think that's a critical point because they are going to go out there and play the same game these NFL players are going to play. They want to make sure they are safe as well.